Welcome to Trivia Club.
And now, deep thoughts.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Deep Thoughts on SNL podcast, an SNL review and discussion show. I'm your host, Rob Moden, and with me today are Brian Edwards.
Catchphrase.
And Leah Sueko.
I'm here.
That is the level of enthusiasm we're probably going to have for this episode, unfortunately. Today's show, we will be covering episode 13 of season 39 with host Melissa McCarthy and musical guest Imagine Dragons. Broadcast date February 1st, 2014, and including such sketches as Super Bowl Halftime Spectacular, 28 Reasons, Girlfriend's Talk Show, and Super Champions with Kyle. Later on, we'll talk about the news of the week, such as the first guest on the Jimmy Fallon version of The Tonight Show, and the Seth Myers edition of the Late Night, and Twitter fights. So there you go. So with that, let's get to the sketches. The first sketch, the cold open Super Bowl Halftime Spectacular, wherein a group of Broadway performers takes over the halftime show once Bruno Mars has to drop out. What did everybody think?
I quite enjoy this. Now, I don't care about football, and I don't really care about musicals, and I loved it because it was so terrible on purpose, and I found that hilarious. Ben Vereen as Richard Sherman, I actually laughed out loud when I heard that.
Some of the actors that they referenced from Broadway I did not recognize. So Kenan Thompson was playing a known actor?
Yeah, Ben Vereen is a very well-known, especially on stage.
Okay. Was Taron Killam a known actor?
I didn't remember the name.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recognize him.
Okay.
I thought it was spot on for, like, the worst musicals. Like, her whole, what was it, Womp Womp?
You need a little womp womp. Something like that.
Yeah. I did think that it was, and I loved Jay Pharoah as Michael Strahan. I thought he was just
that was
so
great. The glee during the numbers was adorable.
Yes.
Little jumping bean Bruno Mars. I really want to see that little guy.
One of the lines near the end of the song, I actually wrote it down because it made me laugh so hard. It was no Denver, no Seattle, just love, and they threw like sparkles in the air. Oh,
and then I believe Mike O'Brien came out as a cat.
Yes.
At that moment, he didn't say anything, but he came out as a cat at that exact moment, just at the end.
Oh, it was adorable.
There are a lot of nice little touches. I liked Bobby Moynihan leaving. I liked Melissa McCarthy had a decent role for a cold open.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she really did. Yeah, I thought it was a really fun way to start.
Millhiser.
Did I kill it? Why do I kill it? Every time I say something, it's just like
John Millhiser continues to reinforce my little crush on him every time I see him on screen, and this just added to it.
He had two roles, technically. He was like a singer, and then he showed up as the human football.
Yes.
Yeah, John Millhiser actually had a pretty decent show this week.
Pretty decent show. Not the greatest, but like probably the best he's had.
I was going to say, I think it's definitely the most screen time he's gotten for an episode.
Mm.
Yeah, that not since his celebrity game show, Celebrity Family Feud, he has such a prominent role.
Shall we move on to the monologue?
Sure.
Yeah.
The monologue, where Melissa McCarthy is basically hunted down by Bobby Moynihan for apparently being a total jerk in the last show, and then they have a wire foo fight, and I don't know what's going on.
The wire thing threw me. I was loving it up until that point.
I was loving it.
The clips from her previous appearance when she's like taking the llama from backstage and just kissing it, like telling everyone off. That was amazing.
The timing was a little off with that, though, because they clearly filmed as long as they could because they knew it would take a while to hook up the wires. And so it was just like 10 seconds of her dragging the llama away. And it didn't quite reach that Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes thing where it became funny again for how long it was going.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, and then the wire thing, I just didn't get what they were going for there. I mean, obviously they're, doing the whole... Like,
props to them for doing the flips, but otherwise it wasn't super entertaining.
I'm going to say that it was part of Chinese New Year's. I'm
really?
going to say
that's why they did it?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it had something to do with that. But I felt all in all it was overzealous. The sound effects weren't matching up. There was actually, when I was watching it, I could hear someone giving directions, like camera directions.
Somebody was overheard giving directions in one of Taron Killam's shots. You could hear the director or something.
didn't notice
So
that.
I loved it up until they strapped on those, the little harnesses and started doing the Mortal Kombat. And then the other thing was, I was like, are they doing like an how did this get made reference? Like for Mortal Kombat?
No, that's too obscure. It's just they did.
It's just,
They didn't
what
base
they
their
were
writing on the
doing,
week
right?
on a podcast. No, I don't think so.
No.
It was just
But
it's
that
the
is
same reference
basically-
point as the Wayne's World
yeah.
movie from 20 years ago, where it's just Wire Fu fights Wise Master, and then Taron Killam had to like push Bobby Moynihan out of the way to.
That was really awkward.
Yep, it was a little awkward all around.
Really awkward.
Mm-hmm. Brian, your thoughts? Oh, sorry, Leah. Go ahead.
I just thought that it was a little... Until they can match up sound effects, I don't think that they should rely heavily on anything that revolves...
That didn't bother me so much because that's something that you get in those old, like, dubbed martial arts movies. The sound effects would be off. So that didn't
too,
bother
and
me at
I
all.
think that it's kind of endearing to the live format.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that didn't bother me at all. It was just tonally, I didn't get what they were going for. Like, that first half with the flashback stuff, that was fantastic. And in this, it was just completely different. I didn't
And
get how they
I
matched.
don't think it was the timing of the sound effects. It was the timing in general of the performances. Like I don't think Bobby Moynihan quite knew when he was going to be lifted up in the air and when he was going to be let back down.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just... Up until they got put in the harnesses, it didn't really work for me after that. And I thought it was so funny, like, when she slaps the thing and she's like, I got my paycheck, I'm out of here.
What'd you think of Keenan?
What do you... See, I thought
Murdered
that was
on screen, your worst nightmare.
Not just that, it was that everybody else was so thrilled that, they were like, you missed. And she's like, did I? And it was Keenan that she killed. Like, it was kind of like this thing where she had purposely killed Keenan. I was a little like, what's going on there?
That was the joke, yep.
It's like they read my fan fiction.
What other ways did you have for Kenan Thompson to die? Ninja star to the head.
Nuclear explosion.
Vat of acid.
Vat of acid.
Piranha moat. I'm just
Gorgeous.
thinking of Clone High references.
Army of clones. Yeah, all work.
They all fight each other to death, like the Me-Sinks on Rick and Morty.
I hire the Yakuza in one scenario.
Shall we move on?
Sure.
A slight highlight after kind of that downturn, I can't remember the exact number and order of the adjectives, but buying little dumb stupid stuff at CVS for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it.
And it did, like you mentioned on the Facebook chat, it seemed like very similar to the Buy a Bear sketch.
Yeah, it was basically the exact same idea, but it was like, bring your girlfriend a teddy bear with a heart. And so instead of all these different items, it was just a teddy bear with a heart, and the girlfriend loved it every single time. Those were the differences, but it was still a fun sketch.
This was really good. I enjoyed the 80 Brian line at the end. It was like, you're killing me.
Or it's like, you have hurt me
You
today.
have hurt
Something
me
like that.
today.
It's the wording. You gotta get the wording right.
I really think that the only two parts that I really liked in this sketch was Sashir's reaction when Taryn is tickling her face.
The G-rated sex dice. That was a
I
great
thought that
detail
was-
in itself. G-rated
I
sex
thought that-
dice.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really funny. And then 80 Bryant's, you have hurt me today.
I like
I thought that was really
the
funny.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles candy.
I was gonna say that. That was a perfect point of specificity, where it's like, who is buying this?
The jar of salsa.
I thought that was a nice touch as well.
And Kyle Mooney as the jewelry expert.
Yeah, this is really good. He looked like he was holding up one of those like necklaces from the mid-O's that like cool guys wore with like a shark tooth attached. Was it it looked like a shark tooth.
Oh, he was perfect in that. Perfect. And then what was the next one after that?
Pre-recorded the freshman Congressman Sheila Kelly.
I actually really like this one.
I really liked it because it was a few days ago. I think it was on The Daily Show or something where I saw the original footage of the New York One reporter being threatened, and it was great.
It was so like I heard about it well before I saw it. I go, oh my god, this is that. Oh, this is uncomfortable.
It
God.
was. It was super
really
weird.
young.
But I did love the constant evolution of going to a
Yes.
new place with a new camera source. It was a little predictable, but it was funny every single time to me.
Yeah, no, it's one of those where they kept pulling back and it'd be someone else or something else with a camera that she would notice and be terrible about.
Didn't do anything for me.
Didn't do anything for you?
No. I mean, it was kind of funny at first, and then I was kind of like, well, is it funny that the dialogue's completely written from a different, like an actual thing that happened?
That seems like a hard line to put down, that you don't find things funny if they're based on reality.
Well, I hate reality for the most part, and I mean, that's something you have to understand. But also, Melissa McCarthy, like, I love her as an actress, but as an SNL host, she really hasn't done anything for me in any of the times that she's hosted.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get more into this later, but I was going to say that this is probably the last time in the night that Melissa McCarthy's aggressive, overbearing woman persona worked for me. And after this, it was completely diminishing returns.
Yeah, it wasn't until Girlfriend's Checho that I enjoyed her in that Fagley type role. Yeah,
I didn't even like that.
Yes, and I didn't even. Okay, well, we're gonna get to that later. So
sure. So we like that.
I liked
Next is we can talk more about it in Women's Group, the one with the vision boards, which was. I laughed at the very first joke where it's like, I want to avenge my husband's death or my father's death, and then after that point, it was just kind of.
I didn't enjoy. Go ahead.
I think the only thing that did it for me was the second dream board where she was like, coincidentally, yogurt on my board as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. I liked their reactions to her. Like, Sashira was great. And
was
everyone else.
Sashira wasn't in it!
Sashira was not in it,
Brian.
No,
It
sorry.
was Nassim, Vanessa, Cecily.
Cecily. Cecily was so good. The wig she had on in there, I don't know what
so
it was
good you mistook her, not only her person, but her race.
I was thinking that should sound. Anyway. You're very much right. The diminishing returns of that. It was, the initial gag was funny, and then it just, okay, we get it. And then
also something that made me feel uncomfortable that they didn't really address was, I think it was Vanessa or somebody who said, like, I want to fall in love with my husband again. And that was such a sad statement.
Yes.
But everything they were saying was sad.
I don't know if it was the audience was supposed to laugh at that, and they didn't because it was too real, but it just seemed like they skated past it.
That whole group just reminded me, this is my nightmare. If I was in this scenario, if I was one of these people, I would want to kill myself. It's like that suburban, I just want to, start taking pottery classes and feel me again. That kind of group reinforcement mentality, this is horrifying to me.
Brian coming down strong anti-groups right now.
Well, I mean, I agree with Brian, because it's kind of like her jumping out the window at the end. You wouldn't need somebody trying to murder you to jump out that fucking window. Like, hanging out with those women would be enough of a reason to jump out of a fucking...
From a sketch perspective, the weird thing about that was, and I noted it in the chat thread, her jumping through that window was such an obvious turn that you could see coming that the audience did not react whatsoever. Nobody laughed at the window smash.
I think that's a 50-50 predictability, 50-50. The audience was not super hot last night.
But I think kind of rightfully so versus... Was it Drake? Drake was the night we were talking about where it was like people were not on board when they should have been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's much more deserved. Drake deserved a much bigger reaction than Melissa McCarthy's show, but the audience felt a little lukewarm.
Next mediocre sketch. Guess that phrase. Pash the Mash. Pash the Mash is a funny phrase in itself. Not as funny when you keep saying it.
Yeah, it's just weird. Melissa McCarthy, weird woman number 812.
Yep.
Honestly, this was the only skit I liked her in. Like, I actually thought it was funny. I didn't, but the entire skit didn't work for me. But I thought that I thought that it might have been her strongest character for the night. Maybe Sheila Kelly.
The kind of exhausted, she was like semi-aware that she was wrong and that she was trying to go against the rules, and she was just trying to like get points out of Vanessa and all that. I laughed at the first Pash That Mash, and I laughed at Give the Goose a Gander. What?
I enjoyed when she was like, he was commenting that she was like catching things in celebration and when she shouldn't be. And she's like
catching balloons that are not falling from the ceiling right now.
That I like that.
I kind of liked when she said, I would need to win this boat. And he's like, it's not a boat, it's a vacuum.
That was good, yes.
Controversial in the chat thread was the placement of Beck Bennett as a game show host and Kenan Thompson as a contestant. What is going on?
What is this world coming to?
So preferred this. So preferred it.
You preferred it?
Did you really?
I would have gone
100%.
back. I really would have. Beck Bennett was pretty flat for me.
Yeah,
See,
I think it would have been much more funny with Kenan.
I think that might be slightly your age, because to me, he was channeling Ted Baxter from Mary Tyler Moore. He was exactly that tone. If you ever watched Mary Tyler Moore, Ted Baxter's the news anchor on there, played by totally blanking white-haired guy from Too Close for Comfort. But he's in that smarmy, oh, Mayor, the 6
I
o'clock.
get it, but it made it so low energy. The entire sketch was just really low energy.
I just preferred and remembered when Bill Hader would come out, and he basically played the same character every time, but it was always funny, the high-energy smarmy guy.
Bill Hader was fantastic, but I was just so sick of Kenan as a game show host that I just looked forward to something different.
Okay, you know that I am on your side when it comes to Kenan in general. You know that. We're in this shit together.
In your line of game show hosts, Kenan was right above Bennett.
Yeah, I think I ranked them something like Bill Hader above Sudeikis, above Taron, above Kenan, above Beck.
Your order was Hader, Killam, Sudeikis, Kenan, and Beck.
Killam and Sudeikis go back and forth.
Okay, I'm glad
this
you
is very
thought
scientific.
so much about it.
Yeah. This episode, you guys, not the funnest.
No. It really wasn't. I was watching it this morning and I was like, I am so underwhelmed.
Exactly.
I was pretty whelmed.
Actually, hold on. Next sketch, much better, 28
so
Reasons.
Good.
Oh, so delightful. Was it not delightful?
Jay Pharoah, that was one of the first times where Jay Pharoah, his timing alone just sold the punchline so well. Where he changed from the happy song to reason number 2, slavery.
No, 2 to
28.
2
No,
to
2 to 28.
But just
I think 22 was jazz. No, slavery.
A lot of great details like that. Bobby Moynihan's little, well, that's kind of cool and very hip, but allow me to play devil's advocate. And then Kate McKinnon shuts him down. So great. And I love that they cut out the music for Bobby Moynihan's part. It was just him singing awkwardly a cappella.
Raise your hands in the air. Keep them there if your ancestors owned slaves. And everyone's just faces to that.
They slowly lower their
And
hands.
Noel Wells had a great reaction face.
Yes.
It was pretty great.
I loved the say sorry.
Sorry. Say
the
sorry.
last part.
What was the? It was a chant and response, but I can't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was really funny. And
production values were good. Song was really catchy.
Sashir it was really good.
Yeah, Sashir doing great work. Jay Pharoah doing great work, and I think that's it.
Kenan was in there somewhere.
Kenan was there.
Kenan was there.
No, it was good. It was good for all of them. And
his flute playing. That was
His flute was great.
And the reactions from the people in the classroom, everything worked on that. I liked it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really good.
No, that's definitely something you can play again in one of those best of compilations.
Yeah.
This was, I think, the highlight of the night for me.
That's fair. Totally fair. Moving on. Update. Any memorable parts of Update? I don't know.
Well, something happened.
Hold on. First of all, any memorable jokes?
I
will say, I thought it was
the doves.
The what?
The doves.
The doves,
yes. For the Pope. That was hysterical.
Cuts to Pope Benedict saying, "Mwah."
Yeah, my brother actually told me about it earlier this week, and I was like, "You're lying." I thought he was totally making.
I must have missed that entirely. What was the concept?
It was they recapped that the Pope released doves from the Vatican, and they were immediately attacked by pigeons or something. This happened in real life.
Oh wow!
And then the
joke was
so Leah shouldn't like the joke. It was based in real life.
I know. It was then cut. Cecily was and then cut to the previous Pope, Pope Benedict, who's like, "Come to me, my pretties," and there's a Photoshop of the crows sitting on a throne or whatever with him in it. It was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I did think it was a kind of lackluster in terms of jokes for Seth to go out on.
Yeah, when he did the weed joke, And Cecily was
and I was like, "Is that your last joke?" And
That's
I'm like,
your last
no.
joke. And I was like, no, you needed to do a better joke than
You could have
that.
done better. I would have loved if they had brought back the format he did where it was something where they clearly had like 5 or 6 jokes, so he would always like go
I
back.
missed that. Yeah,
They should have brought that back. I'm happy they didn't do a really. I thought really kind of run its course, even though Amy was back, but I would have loved to have seen that.
You need a good topic for really. You can't just throw it out on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Something has to be really indignant.
Yep.
But yes,
something
then,
ridiculous would have had to have happened for the 5 or 6 joke format with the tree
true.
frog fake out.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed Buford.
Yeah, kill him.
Yeah, I wish there was more that maybe he could do. Like, I would hope Buford Calloway, I think his name was.
Kind of a cousin to his Jebediah Atkinson, a very old-timey accent.
He loves his accents.
Yeah.
It really, but he was so good at it.
It was good.
He
It was great.
So good at it.
Very enjoyable.
I love the Dixie Champagne line.
Sethery.
Sorry.
Setheru.
Hello, Sethery. That's a great nickname to have on his last show.
It was, yes. Although I did comment that Sethery is no Scott Rick from Bang Bang.
Comedy Bang Bang. And
That's so
finally, the big event, the goodbye to Seth, on a kind of lackluster last joke. But otherwise, Amy Poehler showed up, Stefan showed up.
Oh my god.
After I called it.
Stefan hating on Cecily was adorable.
It was.
You barely even know him.
I liked the delivery he did. It was like, don't you even put his name in your mouth?
Yeah.
It was
Keep
great.
my man's name out of your mouth.
And then
And
Andy
then he just
Samberg
hissed
showing
at
up
her?
just to sing. It was great.
Yeah, Sandberg showed up and didn't realize it was his last show.
And Armisen as Patterson at the end.
Yes.
Which was, that was kind of a wasted joke, was that not?
No, I thought it was a perfect little cap to it.
Did you?
I do feel like that character was was a little farther removed than, say, Stefan, where it seemed to belong to more like Amy Poehler's era.
But it's very much still with a Seth Myers era character that it's not.
I guess, but I guess they couldn't bring out they couldn't bring out Garth and Kat. They couldn't bring out his political newspaper reading comedian.
And I think it's one of Seth's favorites too. Like Seth loves that character.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not surprised they brought that back at all. And it was a nice little, visual gag to have at the end.
Yep. While they're all hugging in the background.
Yeah.
Leah, did you cry?
No. My tear ducts don't work, so I don't cry.
Do you want to tell this story? Is that a story that's worth telling?
She got an error message instead of tears.
Did it involve?
It was a 404.
Did it involve
message.
a celebrity at Magnolia Bakery?
They stole my tear ducts and haven't been able to cry since. So.
All right. Do we want to talk about this next sketch at all?
No.
I
think we have to because of our confusion during it.
The living art. Vulture summed it up very well. They said, first of all, we didn't like this one, so let's skip past it. But they also said, this is the sketch that your friend who doesn't watch Saturday Night Live because he says that it sucked for the last 5 years. It's the sketch he imagines every sketch is.
Yes, that makes total sense.
Just aimless, have a big personality come in there and pick a fight for no real reason.
Yeah. One joke, basically, just done
One
over.
joke, then have a weird tangent about Avatar.
I would like to point out how well the little boy did.
Yes, absolutely. He stood still. I don't think he made eye contact with anybody.
No, he was brilliant.
I was going to make a joke that
Emmy.
I was going to say he didn't break, but I guess that was probably pretty easy in that sketch.
That's
Probably,
true.
Yeah.
Boom.
I'm always I don't know if it's because it's been a while since a little kid, but I'm always surprised when they have little kids on and I go, this is live. Shouldn't they be in bed?
It's midnight.
What kind of parents do these children have?
On a slight tangent, there was a Splitside article this week of the best Seth Myers sketches, which some of them were good. Some of them really reminded you that this show used to be a lot less consistent. But there was one sketch where he and I didn't even recognize the host, but he was playing a carpet salesman and the host was playing an astronaut or a pilot, and they were doing career day at school, and it was a whole classroom sketch full of children who must have been up at 12:30 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Wonder if they go to the after party.
They get super drunk in the corner with Lorne Michaels.
Hang out the band.
They're just,
I'm
you're
thinking
the
John
best.
Milheisner. He probably gets put at the kids' table, right?
John Milheiser has actually... He grew up playing children in Saturday Night Live sketches.
Yeah. Here's a picture of him and Jane Curtin together on a sketch.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, jeez.
The only note I have for this sketch is, okay. That's all I have written down.
I liked Nassim in it, but I think it was kind of a thankless role. She just had to get angry.
Also a bit of kind of weirdness or at least unusualness in terms of who got what prominence in the sketch. Mm-hmm. Kyle Mooney basically had a lead role. Vanessa Bayer and Mike O'Brien had one line each. Yep. And then Sashir and Brooks were in the background with no lines.
Yep.
The only thing I liked about this was it was the only line Mike O'Brien had in the entire episode. So I was thankful for that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Points.
I think technically you should have said points once. That's all he got.
Well, I'm just enthusiastic.
Well, he got points for being in the cold open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Oh, Mike O'Brien.
Oh, Mike.
You'll be a star, kid.
At least he has a child on the way. Oh, wait.
Jeez.
Oh.
We'll get to that.
Snap.
That wasn't a snap. That was a snap at people who mistakenly thought that Cecily was pregnant, which we will get to.
Oh, those terrible, terrible people.
Yep, they are. And then there was a song, and then Diane, which
let's not skip over the songs. Who nailed both song choices? This guy.
All right.
You know what's funny is when I sent in my mashup picks, which you just
I was wondering what you were referring to, and then Kendrick Lamar did show up in the first performance to perform their mashup from the Grammys, and I guess that was what you were talking about?
But if I had stuck with my first mashup picks, my mashup picks for the first song was Radioactive and Demons.
Oh, mashing up the songs based on what Drake did.
Yes.
Trying to have her cake and eat it too, and I said no.
Well, I think it was like week 2. I did not know any of the other songs except for like this one big hit from whoever was performing. So I entered that song for both slots. And Russell said, "Well, that's clever, but I'm not allowing you to do that again next time."
Did you guys ever find out what I did when I was like, I want to say 2-3 weeks in, what I did with the picks? Russell said, "I'll allow this one time only, and only because you know Matt. That's all." I basically said, whatever Matt picked, do the opposite for me. No research.
The opposite order?
Yes.
I had the two songs in the wrong order. Same
songs were first the order. And he said, all out this one time. Then
we had a minor fight.
And Matt was livid.
We had a minor fight on the chat thread, me and Leah at least, because I was making the argument that Radioactive is now approaching 2 years old as a song. They have to let that go. At some point. That shouldn't be their lead song 2 years later on Saturday Night Live.
We weren't arguing with it because I was agreeing with you. Like, it's absurd.
Oh, it did not seem that way.
No,
Leah.
I wasn't...
Sethery.
You guys were just being bitter Bettys, and I was going to call you out on it, but I thought, no, don't gloat, Brian. Let them wallow in their misery.
Well, I had it backwards. I thought Demons is the bigger hit right now.
You were arguing with me, and I wasn't quite sure why you were arguing with me, because I was like, why is this
I had to be mad at somebody. I had the songs in reverse.
The CD is a year old. How on earth are we supposed to guess songs from a CD that's been out since February of last year?
I thought you were because I said that Radioactive was 2 years old, and you said the CD's 1 year old. I don't know how to, and I thought you were saying to me, no, you're wrong. It can't possibly be 2 years
CD
old. And then I quoted Wikipedia at you.
The CD with Radioactive on it, it might have been a single before the CD was released, but the CD came out February of 2013. So, I mean, all of these songs have been overplayed. They're on... This is the last stop on their tour. Like,
my first big exposure to Radioactive was used to promote Assassin's Creed 3, the video game, in a lot of its commercials and TV trailers. And just for perspective, I believe 2 or 3 Assassin's Creed games have come out since then for different platforms.
I mean, I just didn't
Revelations, something like that.
I didn't know how to pick a song based on the fact that they don't have a single that they're going to promote next. So how do you... And then I was like...
Well, Demons. Demons should have been their lead up. And I also think the recorded studio versions of Demons and Radioactive, I thought Demons is a lot more kind of upbeat beginning of the show, and then Radioactive can be like a more downer, but like thrashy downer. I don't know what I'm saying, but to end the show. But then when they actually played it live, Radioactive was much more energetic than Demons.
They played Radioactive a week ago at the Grammys. Why would they play this song again? That was my big,
Well, in retrospect, I guess them playing it at the Grammys probably said, nope, that's probably the song they're going to play first. I don't know.
But
That's what I thought. No, I totally guessed.
I don't
Well, which
know.
is more disappointing,
I was just-
this or Diane?
I like
Don't you
Diane.
say you like
Shut
Diane.
up.
No!
I didn't mind it. I didn't love it.
What? You agree with me that it was super
I read an
lazy.
article this morning that said it was the worst sketch of this episode, and that is bullshit. This was not the worst sketch.
It wasn't
of this episode.
as bad
I thought it was
as
kind of
Living
quirky.
Art,
I thought
but it
was
was the
kind of cute,
laziest.
and I thought it was short enough to pull it off.
It was the laziest sketch.
It was lazy, but not the worst sketch.
I said in the chat thread, guys, it's funny because Diane is not attractive at all. And that was the joke.
No, it was funny because he didn't know her at all. He didn't even know her name. Diane was like this fictional name he made up for her.
There was
one
a
thing
line
that made me
you
laugh.
Rob, admit it. There was a line you mentioned in the chat.
Yeah, the one line that made me laugh was when she was like trying to swat away a bug or something, and he was like, "Oh, how she could dance."
And we're burying the lead of this sketch. What happened in this sketch that you pointed out that is kind of a big deal on Saturday Night?
She straight up swore.
She cursed.
The second time I heard it,
shit.
the second time I heard it, the mouth was a bit muffled, so I don't really know. It can't have been scripted, but it seemed like she wasn't even trying to say stuff, which is the only thing I can think was the
watch my
word.
shit, watch my stuff. That's the only thing that really
watch
works
my
there,
shit.
But
Yeah, she swore.
I didn't even notice it until you pointed out. I had to hit replay on my TiVo, and
that's just how desensitized we all are as a society these days.
I watch a lot of terrible shows for people.
And that's why I am starting a petition now to have this episode banned for eternity. And Saturday Night Live taken off the air, or at least moved into a more appropriate time slot of 3 a.m.
They're going to take it off the air for probably at least 4 weeks. That's it.
Well done. Finally, my highlight of the night,
you're skipping Girlfriends.
I did skip Girlfriends. I'm very sorry. Or I'm not, because it wasn't that great.
It was alright. It's always enjoyable. It's
I thought
great, but it's enjoyable.
No,
another
it's
example
not.
of diminishing
You
returns.
guys are full of shit. It's not.
It's what?
It's
not good. It's not terrible.
It was a decent concept to begin with, and sometimes I like the individual jokes they come up with. Like, what is it? We covered the best of season 39, and there was that great Cecily, my boyfriend's crazy, where she had to eat the steak alone while he sat at a different booth and watched her.
And the boyfriend came back again. But
it wasn't as good a joke. It was just, it felt like diminishing returns all around.
I didn't mind that they brought the character back and they had Cecily make her over, and so it kind of turned on Eddie Bryant's character. I enjoyed that as a conceit.
I did, again, I called it that they were going to bring in 80s friend this time, rather than Cecily's. I just had a really good, if only I could predict how tedious this episode would be.
Can you call the Super Bowl for us?
Denver Broncos win 73-2.
Wow. I don't know how that's even possible.
No.
I know nothing about football.
I know.
Two field goals on Seahawks side.
Wait,
For
are
1
you...
point?
Do you know what that means? Are you just saying things?
Right? They kicked the little ball instead of a touchdown. It's a point. Shut up! I know football.
Here's a story. Back a few years ago, I think it was whatever year this sketch came out. Do you remember Andy Samberg was playing a Make-A-Wish child who got to commentate on the football, and he just kept on saying, "That'll move the chains." And at first it completely fit the play, and so they were congratulating him. And then after that, he was describing literally everything in the game as moving the chains.
Yeah.
And so we were watching the Super Bowl that year at my house with a bunch of people from my dad's church. And we did not have access to the American feed. So during commercials, we had the same 3 crappy Canadian commercials playing over and over. So at one point, I just decided to show that sketch, and everyone enjoyed it. But then what literally happens in the sketch happened in real life, where one of the guys at the thing started, ironically, but still annoyingly, describing every single play as, "That'll move the chains." until we kind of told him to stop.
Was he like someone's uncle? It feels like an old
No, it
uncle
was just one of these 50, 60-year-old men from the church.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Comedy genius.
Uh-huh. It was a little upsetting.
Oh, jeez.
I regretted it. But now that sketch, which I actually enjoyed, is stuck in my mind forever for terrible reasons.
But now
Should
that
we all tell a Super Bowl story?
Sure, tell your Super Bowl story
everybody
about
have a
how...
Super Bowl
Did
story?
Terry Crews disappoint you in real life? Is this another celebrity story?
Magnolia Bakery?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Terry Crews, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine? White girls? Anyway.
Disappointing. Segueing into
I thought
think
Leah
we all
was gonna
consider
tell
the
a
best
story.
sketch of the night.
Wasn't Leah going to tell a story?
Yeah, I was going to tell a story. But it was a true story. Is that a problem?
Why
We
would it
won't
be a
believe it.
problem?
I don't know.
Were your other stories not true?
Nothing I say is. I'm playing a character. Like, I don't give real information about myself.
You're
on
really
here.
committing to this character for one that's not that funny. Boom.
Really long payoff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best are, right? Like, 20 years from now, someone's going to think this is...
Just tell your story!
No, I'm really into the Patriots. Patriots is my kind of football team.
Okay.
But I remember watching the Super Bowl where... Do you guys remember when the Patriots had the perfect season?
No.
That was then foiled at the last minute.
Yeah.
Foiled
and then
at
they
the
got
Super
to
Bowl.
Yeah, like literally the last seconds of the Super Bowl, they ruined their perfect season. I was in a living room full of men who not only took off their jerseys and threw them on the ground, but started crying. It was like 6 guys. It wasn't. It was 2. Started crying.
Oh my god.
Did you laugh? I would have laughed.
It was no, because it was so just depressing. It's these grown men laughing or crying, and
That's what makes it funny.
I just left
We
the
say
room.
as comedy
I felt
nerds
like I
who get
shouldn't
upset about
be
Seth Myers
there.
leaving.
I just felt like I shouldn't have witnessed it. So I felt like it was like a unicorn or something, and I had to leave the room.
I come from Ottawa, where we have a hockey team that does well some years and doesn't do well other years, and we've become a very self-aware. It's a very self-aware fan base that doesn't tend to gloat because we know that any minute around the corner bad news is going to come. But going from that to university and now Toronto, where there were large Toronto fan base in each one, it is like a completely different attitude. Where I remember there was one year a few years ago where Toronto won 3-4 exhibition preseason games in a row, and
Everyone's
there were
calling
people
it,
who were
"This is the
genuinely
year."
saying all right, time to book the Stanley Cup the Stanley Cup parade. It's gonna be great. And then I saw a video a couple of days ago, I think, where their big loss to Boston last year, I want to say, it just shows a highlight reel of a room watching the game and them slowly becoming more and more depressed. Sports is weird, you guys.
I don't get it.
It is. I
Don't get it. I don't get team loyalty. These people are not the same people that were on the team 5 years ago. Why do you still like them, and why do you hate this person?
I find that
It's on their
fun.
team that was on your team.
I'm
I
attached to
don't get it.
Ottawa through tradition and whatnot, but yeah, it's a very self-aware, no, we're not doing great.
Oh, God.
This is maybe a rebuilding year, hopefully. It's always optimistic, but preparing for the worst. And then, let's segue into the last sketch. Super Champions with Kyle.
Woo!
A very kind of early Lonely Island kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was Andy walking, which is based on jaywalking, and there was those sloths sketches they did with all the graphics. It was a best of both worlds where it was Kyle Mooney walking around Times Square, aka Super Bowl Boulevard, just making awkward conversation with overbearing Super Bowl fans.
Each of the segments were fantastic. My favorite, though, was we had the fans from opposing team, the 2 teams, and he was passing the mic between, but doing it really badly timed. It was
so that nobody
well
could
done.
ever respond.
Oh,
My favorite was,
Kill
but
me.
this was less to do with any kind of performance on Kyle Mooney's part, but just that they lucked out and found a complete lunatic who was the guy who showed up to Times Square and spent his day with a Super Bowl sucks sign. Talked
And they
about
cut
how
him on
America
tour.
sucks, too.
Yeah.
was kind of
You
grateful to have a
idiot.
national television platform to say it on, and then admitted that his main hobby was watching pornography.
Do you think they knew it was for Saturday Night Live? I mean, Kyle Mooney's not exactly the big face of SNL.
No, I don't think so, because like when he goes up to the people looking at the map, and he's like, "You guys trying to find your way or something," and the person like slaps the microphone away from them. Like,
my understanding is that
did not know who
my
that
understanding is
was.
that it's a twofold system where either they could have put up signs places saying that like, hey, you're going to be captured on camera for something we're filming if you're in this area, which I'm sure there were signs already there because it's the big Super Bowl area, and or I remember Stephen Colbert talking about it when he did Daily Show field pieces, where they had to try and hide that they were from The Daily Show or from Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And so they had to take advantage of, like, Comedy Central. And if somebody asked, like, what channel is this on? It's like, oh, I don't know if he'd get it out here. It's number 15 or something.
Nice.
They had to be completely factual about it. But if pushed hard enough, they eventually ran out of excuses. They had to actually say it was the show. You can't lie. You can't say you're from a show you're not from, but you can also not name it and give as many details as possible.
Well,
makes
I've
sense.
actually walked through those areas where they have the signs up that say you will be filmed after this point, and they are not at all noticeable. It's just a sign, above your eye line that says, beyond this point, you could be filmed.
Absolutely, but it's legally binding. So there you go.
Yeah, it's very sneaky, though. It's highly
Especially for an
sneaky.
outdoor area. For indoor areas, I think the go-to is putting on the door, and maybe that's a
before you
legal
go
thing.
in.
But
Yeah.
for an outdoor area, like, if you're going into Times Square, you kind of have to put paper everywhere to make sure people see it. I'm sure it's just...
But
like
nobody's
on a
going to
pole
see
somewhere.
it. I mean,
Exactly.
they would put one up, and that would be it, and nobody would notice it.
Yep.
The only problem I have with this skit is
Go
I
ahead.
feel like it takes away from Mike O'Brien.
Mike O'Brien's
On
reporter?
the street. Awkward
Nah.
guy on the street. Why did
No.
you take it from him?
This was better.
Yeah. I think
This
you
is
can still
better.
have the two, but I can see that. I would like to see Mike in it too, or somehow.
But I mean, we were talking about how Mike O'Brien's character could come back to report on other things, not necessarily on the street. Just
That's
awkwardly interviewing random objects. I don't know.
It'd be like a Daily Show-esque thing when they get someone
Random
covering...
objects.
Yeah, inanimate objects around the office.
Or you could just have him like be
A
like...
stapler's gone missing. Let's interview every other object in the office to figure out where it went.
You can have him just be like a
I just wrote an
correspondent,
SNL sketch. Sorry, go ahead. Rob.
correspondent type that he covers stuff like the Super Bowl. You can have him do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Where he just comments on things and roving reporter type of thing. Inanimate objects is always good, though.
Shall we go on to the points?
Points, 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 points.
Did I get lots of points?
I don't know about individuals, but we'll go through the people and you can say if it seems to add up for you. So, for anybody who doesn't know, this podcast is a spin-off of the SNL Fantasy League created by the Toronto Trivia Club, and the Fantasy League is like a sports fantasy league, but instead we have drafted cast members as well as hosts that we predict would eventually be on the show. And so anybody that you've drafted, whenever they appear in a sketch or do something special like swearing, singing, dancing, nudity, being on update, blah, 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 you get extra points. And so then we tally what points everybody got that week, and usually Leah is not doing well. So this week, who was it you that drafted Melissa McCarthy?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Did
somebody
anyone have
did.
her?
No.
Somebody drafted Melissa McCarthy. Maybe it was Russell. She got 63 points. Andy Samberg, which was Matt's draft, I believe, got 15 cameo points for update and singing. And Amy Poehler, which was Leah, 10 points for update.
I didn't draft it. Why are you...
I don't know. I thought, okay, then it's somebody else. It's Russell then.
I did Mindy Kaling.
Because there's like a handful of people that I actually interact with in the league, and I thought it was one of those people.
I think the only
So it's
girl I
either you,
have is
Matt, or
Mindy
Russell.
Kaling. Yeah.
Okay. So then, rep actors, Taron Killam, 60 points. Jay Farrow, 60 points. I feel like I should be doing this in a more Super Bowl-y way, considering the day. Keenan Thompson, 55 points. That's like halfway between a football announcer and Don Pardo. I'm going to drop that. Bobby Moynihan, 52 points. A.D. Bryant, 40 points. Kate McKinnon, 30 points. Vanessa Bayer, 25 points. Nassim Pedrad, 25 points. Cecily Strong, 25 points. Featured, Beck Bennett, 50 points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Opening played a lot into that. Live from New York, in the opening.
Yeah.
Kyle Mooney, 45 points.
Wow.
Oh, me and you, Rob.
5-point difference. John Milheiser, 32 points.
Not bad.
Sashir Zameda, 27 points. Noel Wells, 25 points. Mike O'Brien, 20 points. Brooks Whelan, 12 points.
A lot of I'd say about half the supporting cast there did better than most of the main three players.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual. By the way, Russell had both Amy Poehler and Melissa McCarthy.
Well, fuck him in the face.
So I think $1 Million Bill Murray's is hitting the top again, maybe.
How is he...
He was... what was he last?
And so he happened to organize this league, come up with a point system, and he's in first. Interesting.
I didn't do too bad this week, so I'm
No, you
happy
didn't.
with
Congratulations.
that. Thank you.
He was third last week.
Here's something interesting. Taran Killam did not appear after update,
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
but he got 60 points in the first half of the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's
It
just
seemed
like
heavy.
Dunskies.
I really... if only he had kept up that streak. Oh, my God. My team would have been so... oh, well. Any other things to note there? Yeah, so Vanessa Bayer, Nassim Pedrad, Cecily Strong, all kind of low scoring. Kate McKinnon, too. 30 points.
Yeah, that's not going to be good for me.
You don't ever have to announce Nassim being low scoring. She's never high scoring. The day she gets more than like 25 points, you can be like, Nassim didn't do too bad this week.
Is that your impression of me?
Spot on.
Yeah. Brian knows.
Anything else worth noting in that breakdown?
No, that sounds
So
about right.
Mooney and Beckett had a really good show.
Yeah.
Milheiser had a decent show.
Yeah, let's face it. And
Moynihan having his best show since his injury.
Since the fabled
The
The
injury.
mysterious injury that
Make it sound
allowed
so
him to
ominous.
skate last week. But 52 points for him.
no, injuries do heal, Rob.
Yes.
I really love Bobby
Enough that
Moynihan.
you're skating within a month, though? I don't know.
And it was Bobby Moynihan's birthday this week.
It was. He turned 37.
He's 37? He
We're
looks
the
a lot
same
younger.
age. Wow.
He looks
I
a
might
lot
be making
younger.
that up. I don't know.
Oh, God damn it, Leah.
I think I'm pretty sure.
No, I wanted to say he joined SNL like late 20s, I think. Like other UCB people.
If only there was a way to find out.
Oh, interweb.
Yep. Oh, well. Anything else? Any thoughts on the host, Melissa McCarthy?
My of her 3 appearances, definitely my least favorite.
Yeah. I genuinely think she was great the first time.
Yeah, me too. No, he turned 36 this year.
Oh, wow. So he is
78.
a lot older than I thought.
Hey, watch it. I am older than him. Shut up.
His youthful good looks.
Oh, are you older than him, Brian? I need to look up a photo of you.
Born in 77.
You're like a 7-year-old in your photo.
Well, yes, that was me when I was about 5 or 6.
Oh, so
He's not
he
modern.
literally posted a photo of himself as a child. I thought you were just being like, you were exaggerating, like, you look like a child. Don't worry. That was my impression of you, by the way.
I
That's
sound
spot on,
delightful.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm surrounded by master.
I was waiting for that. News this week. So we forgot to get to this last week, among other mess-ups we made. For instance, despite what I said, Imagine Dragons has not been on the show. But Fallon and Myers announced their first guests for their new iterations of talk shows. Fallon's first Tonight Show guest will be Will Smith, and the first musical guest will be U2.
Oh, it's pass.
Does anybody still like U2?
No.
I don't mind them, but Will Smith. Oh, if you want
Leah,
me,
you're
not watch this.
you're an ambassador to America, Leah. Does anybody in America like U2?
I had an ex-boyfriend who was really into you too.
And that's why you broke up.
So,
Yes, that's exactly why.
And then
who
Seth Myers
liked
is
you
having
too.
Amy Poehler on late night.
that
Decent
I
match.
will watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
That-
I'm gonna watch both. I like Fallon by himself. I don't watch every episode of his show, but
Not gonna lie, I'm probably not gonna watch either.
I'm curious to see what Seth's show format-wise will be like. 'Cause apparently it's going to be not your typical talk show.
Something I thought of last night. Do you remember how Fallon, he had like 6 months of kind of practicing being a late-night host with... They had that web series of like 5 minutes a day of different stuff he did. And he was working on the format the entire time, and Myers is starting up in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's been working full-time as the head writer on SNL the entire time.
Yeah, and it sounds like the format exactly is still being tinkered with. Like, it's not set in stone, ready to roll type of thing.
They don't have a desk yet.
Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, that's okay. They're making that to, like, a little fan-oriented
contest. But it's still like, well, they're going to have to actually physically build it.
Yeah. There's people for that. I'm not too worried. It's not going to be like Seth doing it himself.
I'd watch
This
that.
is boring. I'm bored now.
Seth making a desk? Too boring?
I'd watch that.
In other news, Cecily Strong is not pregnant.
Oh, God.
Everyone
this is
shut the
obnoxious.
fuck up.
Yay!
Everyone shut up.
I follow her on Twitter, and I was on board
Don't do
for
that.
her lashing out, and I'm 100% behind her. Those people are such idiots.
I honestly did
What
not
did she say?
notice
Can we
anything.
quote her tweet? Her
Yes.
Twitter?
So a bunch of
Miss?
people asked, is Cecily Strong pregnant? Either Cecily Strong is pregnant or she has an enemy in wardrobe. Has anybody subtly asked Cecily Strong if she's pregnant? And then a few more, is Cecily Strong pregnant, but actually tagging her, which is great.
Yeah.
And then she
But what did
responded... She
Okay.
responded, "Oh, also, I'm not pregnant, but thanks for inquiring, you cruel bully dickhead / the dumbest idiots ever who don't understand how life works."
Mm-hmm.
So that's you, Leah, apparently.
What?
Because you said you understand how people thought she was pregnant.
You're a monster.
You don't have me on records.
Oh, I think...
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I recorded the mic
I would
check.
never... No, this is the difference.
That
Me
too.
going, she looks like she might be pregnant is completely different than me taking to the webosphere
You need, like, a podcast.
needing to vent my thoughts on it. I
That's
wasn't
true.
going to bring up that I thought that, like, however she looked, because I don't care. I mean, I would care if she was pregnant, because obviously that would factor into points. But...
And also, you'd be happy for her and blah, blah, blah.
No, I wouldn't. The world's
Oh my
overpopulated. I think that you should adopt and not be bringing children into this world. But that's my personal stance.
So fuck you, parents.
As my character, Leah, on the podcast.
So on.
Is Leah even your real name?
It's not.
It's Nassim.
That's...
She's been working on this character all week. That's why she can't make it into the show.
Watch next...
Ever.
the
That's why I
next
can't
live
make
show.
it in the show ever.
The next live show is going to have an SNL podcast sketch in it.
Oh, God.
Mike O'Brien will be playing me.
I'm hoping for Taron Killam.
You're hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for someone a little bit thinner than Cecily.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Oh,
So, hon, is this a guy-girl thing where, Brian, you were like me, you didn't notice any odd...
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Didn't occur to me whatsoever.
I didn't. I think it's weird that this was the episode people were commenting. I didn't notice anything about her wardrobe. I don't know.
And the tweets gathered by the Huffington Post, which is my source for this, are from a mix of girls and guys. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't get it.
I
I
just don't
didn't-
notice
That
things.
either.
The only time I noticed Cecily's body was honestly the Jimmy Fallon, when her and Jimmy Fallon did this sing song. And I attributed that to her wearing multiple layers of clothing because she had to take them off.
So moving on. Fuck you, Twitter.
I think it's weird. People would naturally assume, instead of saying, like, she ate a bagel that day, that she's pregnant. Like, that, to me, that's weird.
Do bagels show up that quickly?
If,
The poppy seed ones.
Fully formed? Adding to your belly?
if you get an everything bagel.
That's the everything. Multiple pounds of fixins.
Yeah.
And then final news piece, kind of a news piece, kind of a correction, kind of just interesting additional info. The Good Neighbor sketch from last week, Inside SoCal, turns out it was an adaptation / maybe a continuation of a web series of Kyle Mooney's that Beck Bennett has also been on. So they appeared as the same characters. Just kind of interesting. So if anybody enjoyed that sketch a lot, I don't think we did, but we didn't that much at least.
I did watch a little bit of the videos that they I think it was Splitsider posted them, and they were good.
Yeah, so if anybody enjoyed that, feel free to go check that out. If you need any more news, feel free to subscribe to or follow us on Twitter at Deep Thoughts SNL, all one word, which I operate and frequently fall behind on. So Brian will remind me of news stories, and then I will post like 4 in a row at 2 a.m. or something weird.
I'm like
nice.
the junior vice president of the Twitter account.
There you go. That can be your
Aw,
official
that's so
title. You can put that in
sweet.
your own Twitter bio.
I will.
I see that, and I'm like, how does he have the energy to do both of these? Twitter
Most of them, they just occur to me. I have like a bunch of RSS feeds of different pop culture websites already, just in my regular life on Feedly. And then if something pops up relating to a SNL cast member, that's how it happens. But then sometimes I just go over them and I forget, oh, yeah, Bill Hader was on SNL. I forgot to mention that he's in a Judd Apatow movie coming up. So,
Yay, Bill.
yeah, good for Bill. I don't know about Judd Apatow as a director anymore, but yay,
You're
Bill.
disillusioned?
He still he releases his director cuts to theaters now,
Yeah,
and I
that's
don't
true.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hear thee.
Anyway, anything else to talk about?
I teased earlier in the
Oh
week.
yes, Brian, hold on.
Shocking
Brian Edwards
announcement.
has an announcement.
Okay, picture it. The podcast.
Okay, I'm closing
Last
my
week,
eyes. I'm closing my eyes.
A challenge was thrown out there. Does America like Kenan Thompson?
Oh god.
What did I do? I immediately went to Twitter and I
man.
posted this question. And I have the results.
0 replies.
0 replies. One
Really?
one favorite from someone who does not follow me. So I think the results speak for themselves.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
America does not like Kenan Thompson.
Whoa.
Official.
Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I'm gonna
Hit the theme
edit in
music,
some
we're
music.
out.
I'll edit in some music right here. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. No one likes Kenan Thompson. Dun 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 dun
See you
dun
out.
dun.
See you next week.
I went to dim sum on Friday and polled the one person sitting next to me. And they loved Kenan Thompson.
Do you
And
know
I
that
said,
that's not called a poll? That's a question. You need a sample base for a poll.
a sample
pool of
base
people.
is me.
No,
And then there's
you're the questioner. You're the poll list. I don't.
Bias.
You don't get to count yourself in the poll.
And you don't get to ask Kenan Thompson either.
You're messing up the control group.
Kenan Thompson surprisingly said he did not like himself.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
That only
Yeah.
reinforces everything.
Well, he just seems like a perfectionist. You know how hard he works, how Variety tries to be in all
he's
his
so
impressions.
hard on himself, and
He
he
is.
just,
he
you
was
know,
so drunk.
He never seems to phone it in or just settle for yelling.
I hope you're still laughing when you're both in hell.
As long as I got points, I don't care.
There you go. Is there anything else to talk about this week?
I think we're good.
Brian really hyped up that announcement,
Yeah,
and I'm a little upset.
I think it landed perfectly.
No, I thought you were
no.
going to announce a special guest had agreed to be on the podcast, Jared. Or
You teased
Yeah,
me
I
by
was
suggesting
really-
it was Jared.
I was really expecting like a Taryn announcement or something. Like
Yeah.
your
I got him sitting
your
right
little-
here next to me, guys. Here's Taryn Killam.
Hey, Taryn,
guys.
how's Illegitimates going?
Good show this week. Bye.
Oh, he left. That was like the laziest version of that joke we could have done, where he just leaves immediately instead of anybody trying to pretend they're him or answer questions.
I thought somebody was at least going to pretend to be Buford.
I'm not the best impressionist.
I'm Taryn Killam. Illegitimate. So, my wife Colby. It's a little bit like my Lorne Michaels.
It's like they're
Except
very
more
cool with
mumbly.
me.
So, like the show itself, we're going to be off until March, I believe it is,
Are
after the
we?
Winter Olympics. Yep.
That's what I was going to ask.
Unless we want to do a podcast about, the opening ceremonies. About...
No, I think we don't talk about, but I think we could talk about SNL in like some other terms, like our eras of SNL that we grew up with, compare and contrast, favorite cast
Wait,
members.
so does this mean...
But then we'd all have different eras because you're an
Yeah.
old man.
We can discuss the differences, couldn't we, Rob?
I will
I
say...
think there's a
Okay, go ahead.
progression because it would go Brian and then me and then you. Like, I feel like there's a good space between each of us that it would be the natural progression of
Your first
those.
memories.
Maybe if we
Yes.
get bored, and we're also going to work on getting on iTunes, and if we don't want this episode to be the most recent iTunes episode for people to
think it would.
download.
I think it'd be fun to do kind of a little retrospective, get to know us kind of thing.
Sure.
I think we should do that.
It's a Deep Thoughts with
Yeah.
Brian.
We'll talk about politics.
Did you forget our names, Leah?
I did. I was
Deep
pondering
Thoughts with Roger, Christine, and
Rod and.
I got news for you, Rob. She never learned them.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
So we'll be off for the month, but if any SNL news breaks, including probably the host announcement for March 1st or 2nd or whenever that episode is.
March 1st.
Deep Thoughts SNL on Twitter. And, I will recommend everybody go see the Lego Movie. It has at least Will Ferrell. I think maybe another SNL person is somewhere in there. But it's very fun. It's from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Clone High and 21 Jump Street people. So it's good. Okay. Somebody's laughing at me, I think.
Not me. No, I agree with you.
No, you're not getting any laughs whatsoever.
Okay.
Oh,
Never do.
geez.
Never do.
That's a good way to go out.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks for being
Don't
on,
do
Brian.
drugs.
Thanks for being on, Leah. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
R.I.P. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
No!
Now you've killed it.
Oh.